So that's why my answer to your question is no. All right. Speaking of censorship, I want to show you the Chutzpah Award for today. Justin Trudeau has something to say about press freedom. I am not kidding. There's some Justin Trudeau parody websites out there, but this is his actual account. He says today, journalists inform Canadians and hold governments accountable. Their work is independent and indispensable. Well, let's just stop there for 1 second. Is that true? Some journalists are independent, but is the CBC independent? The CBC board of directors is appointed by Justin Trudeau. The CBC president is appointed by Trudeau. The CBC is funded by Trudeau. The CBC models and mirrors and echoes Trudeau's policies to a T, whether it's a war in Ukraine, carbon taxes, general anti-Americanism, global warming, gun control, transgenderism. I cannot think of a single issue where the CBC disagrees with Justin Trudeau. Can you? They don't disagree. Sometimes the CBC can't keep it in their pants, and they, like when they filed a lawsuit against the Conservative Party of Canada, literally in the middle of the 2019 election. How can you possibly say the CBC is independent? So that's me just reacting to the first sentence. Let's finish the tweet. He says, as they continue to face harassment, censorship, and violence simply for doing their jobs, let me say this. We'll always support and promote the freedom of the press. Okay. Do you know of any journalists in Canada other than Rebel News journalists who have faced violence? Let me know if you know. Have you, Olivia or Efron, have you heard of any journalists in Canada facing violence? The last violence I can think of was more than a decade ago. It was a Sikh journalist in British Columbia who was attacked. Very violent. That was, I think, over an internecine Sikh matter. And I'm not saying that excuses it, but it was not just a generic, I hate journalists, I'm going to kill a journalist. Sikh, S-I-K-H. I forget the, I'm sorry, I forget the name of the journalist, and I shouldn't because it's quite a bad thing. I think you've got Sheikh in there, just S-I-K-H. Anyways, so and that was decades ago. I cannot think of another journalist who has been attacked, let alone killed. Yeah, so bump that one up. I'll just, this is the one. This is a CBC story. You'll notice this is a Canadian Press story on CBC. This is from 2007. RCMP video system failed the day Sikh journalist was killed, inquiry hears. An RCMP video surveillance system installed at the home of a potential witness in the prosecution of key suspects wasn't working the day he was murdered in 1998. Okay. David Hayer, the son of the slain man and a Liberal member of the BC legislature, said the time, okay, so that's very sad. But it looks like it was literally 25 years ago, right? If the attack was in 1998. So there was a murder of a journalist 25 years ago, and it sounds like the journalist was also potentially a witness. And again, that doesn't change the gravity or the tragedy or the crime of his murder. But I think it's been 25 years, exactly. In the last 25 years, have you heard of any journalist being attacked in Canada? I have not, and I'm not, I'm really racking my brains right now, other than Justin Trudeau's personal bodyguards beating up David Menzies and dumping him on the side of the road. And we have video of that. It's just absolutely horrible to watch. Take a look.
Seriously, what are you doing? Get off me! Hey, I can. Hey, this is assault. Move. I'm on a side. What is this? I'm on a sidewalk. I am on a sidewalk. What is this? You cannot touch me. No rushing order. Hey. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Let go of me. What is this? You can't. Am I under arrest? Am I under arrest? Am I under arrest? Because otherwise you have no right. Get out of my sight. Huh? Huh? Get off of me!
Guys, relax.
I'm sorry to interrupt on that. Okay, thanks. We got to get another version of that from without the music in the background, just the clean audio of that. What the hell were they doing there? He was standing on the street. He was going to holler a question at Trudeau walking in. I know the question, why are you having a Christmas party when they're banned, when they're legally banned during the lockdowns? What were they doing there? David was just a report. He didn't, I don't even think he had a chance to call out his question. I can't remember that part. But he didn't touch anyone, didn't threaten anyone, didn't even insult anyone. And they just took him and roughed him up. What was that? Why? And then, of course, during the trucker convoy, even during the Emergencies Act, there was only one shooting in the whole country. And it wasn't from a trucker. It was from Trudeau's RCMP. And what are the odds? Let me ask you this. There were thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people in Ottawa that day. And there were hundreds of thousands, maybe a million, who were involved in some way in the trucker convoy across the country, went out to watch them driving by, something like that. Of the tens or hundreds of thousands of people, what are the odds that the only person who was shot was our reporter, Ezra Levant? And the only person who did the shooting was Trudeau's RCMP. What are the odds of that? Take a look.
Take care.
Bring her out, come on. Bring the leg. Bring it down there. Bring it to the left.
Oh, shit.
Guys, take her out of the crowd. Bring her to the left.
Hey, someone got shot in the head.
Oh, oh.
Bring her to the left here. Safe.
What are the odds? Alexa was not a protester, of course. She was a journalist. She was holding her camera. Why would they shoot her? Why would they shoot her? We're suing the RCMP. If you want to support us, go to standwithalexa.com. And the case is progressing. We have received from the RCMP information, including details about the gun that was used and the training manual for that gun and the reason and the sort of rules of engagement for that gun. That gun was not to be used for that purpose. Why would you shoot a reporter in the leg with a anti-riot device? That is literally against the manual, against the operating procedure, against the standing orders for the use of that weapon. Even if Alexa were doing something wrong, which she was not doing, that weapon was an inappropriate weapon to use, and it was used inappropriately. And this is the Prime Minister who says he'll stand up against violence. His personal bodyguards and his Brenda Lucky run RCMP are the ones who've committed 100% of the violence against journalists in the last 8 years. And by the way, one thing that also came out, all those cops in Ottawa during the convoy, one of the things they actually did is they gave first aid to people. It's just something I saw in their police notes. Why did they shoot Alexa but not help her afterwards? Why did they not give her first aid? Why did they not offer to take her to the hospital? Why did they shoot her and leave her there? They were helping other people. That's odd, isn't it? And this is the guy who's putting out a press release saying they'll always support and promote the freedom of the press. He just last week passed a law that nationalizes the internet. And I see in Blacklocks today, did you see that story in Blacklocks? Click on blacklocks.ca. It hasn't even been a week, but CRTC to define new ethics. So the CRTC, perfect. Log in if you can. Thanks very much. Blacklocks is great, and we have a subscription. It's not cheap, but it's worth it. Let's just take a quick look. The CRTC yesterday said it will define newsroom ethics under a cabinet bill on internet revenue sharing. I have met with newspaper publishers. Scott Shortliff, executive director of the Broadcasting Policy, told senators. Okay, just stop for a second. So you didn't think to mention that until now, that you were going to, that Justin Trudeau's staff, Justin Trudeau, who's been convicted under the Conflict of Interest Act for taking huge bribe vacations, like first from the Aga Khan, and he just took another bribe vacation. I think it was in Jamaica or wherever, I can't remember the latest bribe vacation. He takes bribes all the time, is convicted all the time, and says, oh, whoops, here's my $500 fine for taking a $100,000 free vacation. This is the guy who's going to write newsroom ethics. And what's the newspapers? I have met with newspaper publishers, Scott Shortliff said. So you're going to regulate newspapers now? It puts, frankly, a bit of an onus on us to define that, said Shortliff. The Canadian Radio, Television, and Telecommunications Commission would determine if a newsroom, quote, can show it is a credible news organization that would benefit under the revenue scheme. So media have to prove themselves to the government. You know, in the past, journalists helped hold politicians to account. But do you see how they flip that around? Now politicians are going to hold journalists to account. Politicians are going to say whether you're ethical enough to be a journalist. That's sort of insane. Pablo Rodriguez, the heritage minister, is literally a drunk driver. He got caught drunk driving and he lied about it. He is an unethical criminal man, but he's going to enforce an ethics standard on journalists whose job is to hold him to account. So politicians are now going to write newsroom ethics. What are they doing? There is no separation. I mean, Justin Trudeau already owns the CBC, which is larger than all other news media combined, and they rent out the rest of the news media through their subsidies. But he just can't stand the fact that there's any critics out there. Here's Pablo Rodriguez, the drunk driver. No democracy can work without facts and without the journalists that get to them. When politicians attack the media, our democracy doesn't get stronger, it gets weaker. Fact-based independent journalism is not the enemy, it's a pillar of democracy. You just nationalized the internet. You just put politicians in control of the internet. Your guy just said he's going to be writing newsroom ethical guidelines, and you're the one talking about ethics and facts. What an absolute comedy if it weren't so outrageous.
That's a clip from something we call Rebel News Daily. It's our daily live stream hosted by my friend David Menzies, but the show also includes a rotating cast of hosts and special guests, including me. It's a great way for us to talk about the news of the day as the news is happening in an unscripted fashion, and it's an awesome way for you to interact with us as well. We stream every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Mountain, wherever you find Rebel News. See you there.